Alright, so we have breaking news. Johnny Somali just got backstabbed by his best friend and oldest ally, Trell. Now, if you don't know who Trell is, he's the owner of Johnny Somali's Discord. He's been helping Johnny Somali become the nuisance streamer that he is. And yesterday, I just had a 30-minute long interview with him where he revealed everything. Now, he even admitted to being the puppet master that controls Johnny and pulls the strings. So strap in, this is going to be really interesting. So how did this all begin? Well, Trell was pissed off that I was leaking stuff happening in his Discord. I have several spies in there. So he wrote this PSA on the Johnny Somali Discord, which is his, at everyone. Just so it's clear, I will be going after these low-life stalker content creators. Y'all crossed the line leaking our Discord and trying to build content off Johnny's name. I don't care how small or big your platform is, I'm going to do my background checks and every one of you will be addressed accordingly. This isn't a game, you wanted attention, now you've got it. Don't ever mistake silence for weakness. You don't F with the pirates and walk away clean. The vice captain of the Johnny Somali crew, Trell. After that, he reached out to me in my Discord, and what he probably wanted to be a confrontational conversation ended up being a 30-minute long interview where he revealed a lot more information that he wanted to. Now, before I show you the conversation, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about my interviewing style. I've done this before. I interviewed WWE wrestler Val Venus when he became a sovereign citizen, and I go into this very slowly. I don't go in aggressive because then you're just going to turn the person away. You go in smoothly and you extract information, and I'm pretty damn good at it, as you're about to find out. This is how it started. He said, I got a bone to pick with you, young buck. I said, what's up, homie? He said, what's up with leaking unnecessary shit in my Discord server for content? And I said, that's your Discord? Keep in mind, at that point, I had no clue who this guy was. I saw him in Johnny's Discord. He was showing these parties that he was hosting, and that's all I knew. I didn't know he was Trell. And he said, yes. Well, I said, I think you just answered your question. It's for content. Then he said, you content creators got nothing else to milk out of Johnny that now you're going after his slow community members? And then I said, well, Johnny's a free speech advocate, so a little bit of transparency shouldn't hurt anyone, right? He said, that's bottom feeder behavior. You're not exposing transparency. You're digging for scraps, hoping Johnny's name gets you clicked. And I said, and on top of that, it's one of your mods that's feeding me all the info. Brother, I have plenty of channels. Johnny Somali only counts for maybe 10% of the views I get per month, which is not a lie. And then he said, I don't care about you making the content on Johnny, but leave my server out of it. And then I told him, let me ask you, you run a business, right? Hosting parties? He said, I sure do. I said, you're trying to make something good out of your life. Why even bother befriending a loser like Johnny? And then he said, even though Johnny does ignorant shit, he's still my friend. I don't agree with everything he does, but we've been through too much together to let that break our bond. When things got rough, we stood solid, and that kind of loyalty is rare. Those are the friends you hold on to no matter what, even if he's hated by multiple countries. I told him, man, I don't know if I believe you because Johnny screws over a lot of his friends when they can't help him anymore. He didn't pay dirty in Thailand. He's going to screw over Hank at some point. He talks about how small his dick is on a live stream. And he said, yeah, he might have handled things with those foreigners in a way I wouldn't, but that's between them and him. Me and him move differently, and how he deals with others has nothing to do with the bond we built. And I responded by saying, if you say so. He said, I was actually the one who gave Johnny the idea to go to Japan and pull that Hiroshima stunt, just to see how people would react. Looking back, I already feel bad knowing how much it ended up impacting him. The last thing I'd ever do now is turn my back on him, especially when I'm the one who pushed the snowball down the hill in the first place. And I said, damn, you created a demon, homie. And he said, obviously, but everything else is his own doing. He came to me and asked how to go viral, and I gave him an idea. I said, that's the problem with him. He's so thirsty for clout, he will do anything to go viral. And he said, yeah, and now he's blacklisted by damn near every platform. And I said, you don't need to do dumb shit to be a successful influencer. He said, I told him after this Korea shit is done and over to just come home and let's get back into this trading shit. Hopefully he takes a break from traveling, but he's a grown man, can't convince him to do stuff. And I told him, you think he's coming home anytime soon? And he said, I mean, by the look of things, he's gonna get a 5 to 10 year ban from visiting South Korea. I told him, you really think he's only getting a ban? And he said, yeah, that's usually how it goes. He got banned in Japan, Israel, and now it's gonna be Korea. I told him, you might be disappointed because he even came to accept that he's most likely doing some time in prison. Things are different though, 7 charges, and they take the deepfakes very seriously. He said, none of these charges are aggravated and the deepfake was created by his community. I don't even know why he admitted to guilt to that one. I said, your info is inaccurate. He pled not guilty to the deepfakes. He said, okay, well, I heard he pled guilty. I said, yeah, he pled guilty to a few, but not the deepfakes. He said, either way, I doubt he'll do serious time in jail, just a simple travel ban so the Korean don't gotta deal with him anymore. I said, I highly doubt it. He said, I guess we'll have to wait until August. I told him, you know, Johnny said he would debate anyone. I offered to debate him through Davinsky and he backed out. I would have given him a legit chance at explaining his side. Which is 100% true, by the way. I did offer Johnny Somali a chance to debate, but he's too scared. He said he'll probably do it if I tell him to, but it's like, what benefit does he get out of it? Nothing. That's why he's not doing any interviews. I told him, well, it depends how it goes. I have interviewed Ops before. I even interviewed Val Venus, the WWE wrestler. If he does good, he could change the public opinion, but if he's not that confident in his position, then I guess it won't help him. He said, we passed the point of public opinion. I said, yeah, I guess so. He said, I told Johnny there's no point in trying to be a good guy. Then I told him, you know, August is just another hearing, right? This is going to drag for ages. He said, this may be bad advice from a friend, but I told him just to be more evil. I said, bruh. He said, he's in too deep to try and be good. Now, this is where it gets really weird. So he identified himself as Trell. I said, oh yeah, the guy in the hotel room. And then I asked him, gotcha, so what do you think you will accomplish by having Johnny being more evil? What's the end game? He said, my end game is simple. I'm building a brand. Johnny's already a billboard with millions of eyes on him, but he hasn't been able to fully monetize that reach. That's where I come in. I'm launching a trading group focused on real investments and financial growth and pairing it with lifestyle branding through major parties and events. I make money through smart plays and creating real world impact, not just clout. Johnny brings in the attention, I turn it into profit. That's the vision and it's already in motion. I told him I'm all about money, but I'm having trouble connecting the dots with this one, to be honest. You make parties, charge at the entrance, and this relates to Johnny. How? He said, that's not all I do. That's just a front end of things to get people's attention on my side. My real revenue comes from swing trading stock options. That's how I help Johnny stay afloat in Korea. He said, so you are financing Johnny's survival in Korea? He has been giving all the credit to Hank. He said, you can say I helped Johnny trade stocks and make a profit. Yes. Then I said, so you want to bring him in to pull in customers? He said, yep. I said, the problem with that is that he already pulled a rug pull on his viewers. Remember the Somali coin? He said, I told his ass not to do that. He did it anyways. That low-key pissed me off. I'll say, well, there goes all his credibility. He says, but that doesn't ruin my image. I said, he'll never be trusted in the crypto space after pulling a rug pull. He said, my goal is to help Johnny make $250,000 and he gonna showcase all of his trades and give me credit so I can launch my trading group. I said, that's ambitious. Johnny just brings down everyone around him. To be honest though, I highly doubt he will bring anything positive to your business. So remember earlier when he was talking about their unbreakable bond? Now it's becoming very clear that this guy created Johnny Somali by telling him to do all this nuisance stuff just to exploit him for his own gain. With friends like these, you don't need enemies. But let's keep reading because now it's gonna get deep. Alright, so he said, the plan is in motion. he is doing as I say, and that's to get millions of attention. Well, I'll say, well, not anymore, right? He isn't streaming. He said he doesn't have to stream. All Johnny has to do is to stay relevant. And I said, I know a thing or two about building a brand. I'm working on getting 2 more silver play buttons this year. By the way, about that, I'm only missing 26,000 subscribers for one of those extra silver play buttons. So if you enjoyed the videos and you appreciate the effort that goes into it, please subscribe to the channel. But let's get back to reading. I said the one thing that your audience needs is consistency, and your Discord proves it, bro. People are bored out of their minds. One of your high-ranking mod is leaking everything. The ship is sinking. I just saw your PSA on Johnny's Discord. What's your plan? To dox anyone who leaks anything? And he says, doxing don't solve nothing. Me having a one-on-one conversation is how issues gets fixed. And I said, well, we are talking now, right? You seem smart. I'm sure you're seeing my side. Johnny's a depraved clout chaser that will do anything for attention no matter who he hurts. And I report on it, which is totally expected. He said, I do see your side and I understand it. I just don't want people seeing that I run the server and I'm condoning everything that goes on in it. I'll say, well, why run it then if it's bad for your name? He said, I assumed Johnny's server would be flooded with thousands of haters. And I said, to be honest, I had no clue it was your server. I thought Johnny was the operator. He said, which is what I was hoping on. I asked him, so you want bad press? He says, here's the irony. I actually help the haters make money from my trades. While they throw shade and send TTS to try to get Johnny in trouble, they're still following my plays and profiting off my moves. Johnny takes the heat, stays relevant, and keeps the spotlight on us, and I turn that attention into capital. They clown him in public, but behind the scenes, we are all eating because of me. That's the difference. I turn chaos into currency. Now, I'm not following this whatsoever. Maybe I'm not some 4D chess genius crypto guy, but this is not adding up to me. I told him, but if you want the haters to cover Johnny, why are you tripping that they are leaking the Discord? It's not adding up. Either you want to be associated with him or you don't. He said, because now Johnny is getting paranoid and wants to lock shit up. It's messing with my plan. I said, you mean the content or the Discord? He said, Discord. I wanted the server to be flooded with haters, not gatekeeped. And I said, well, the problem with that is that Johnny is sensitive. I came in there with my real account. I was talking for some time, going back and forth with some mods. He said, my next plan is to tell Johnny to start streaming on stage on Discord. I said, they even called me a derogatory name for Indians. I said, but then they blocked me. I think Johnny is too scared to stream anymore and Hank won't let him. You might be giving him money, but he lives in Hank's apartment. And then he said, I'm going to talk to him tonight to see what's happening with that situation because I don't know what's happening between him and Hank. And now he said, well, there's always a way around things. You'll see soon. I gotta go. Good talk. I said, well, thanks for the interview. He said, feel free to use any information you gathered today. I don't care if it gets leaked. I said, anything else you want to add? It'll make a great video. He said, make sure to show them my Instagram page. And then I said, don't you think Johnny will be pissed that you gave this interview? And he said, nope. I said, you revealed a lot. He said, because at the end of the day, I'm the puppet master. I said, you're playing him like a tool. Look out for the video tomorrow. He said, bet. I said, make sure to hit that like button. But after a while, he came back with some additional information. He sent me these screenshots, and these screenshots are proof that he gave the instructions to Johnny Somali on how to find the statues in South Korea and mess with them. It shows here that Johnny Somali's account was terminated or deleted, so you can't see what he said, but here are all the statues that he sent to him. So this guy is majorly playing Johnny Somali. He's having him do all sorts of dumb shit, and he's doing that so he can exploit their friendship to try to turn it into a profit. And what's really funny about this is that as this conversation was happening, he was talking in his Discord. Now, remind you, I have multiple spies in there. Most of them are moderators, so I was able to see everything, and this is what he had to say. Now, he said my master plan is getting leaked tomorrow anyways. And then he showed a couple screenshots. He said, she, Vice captain won't let the captain go down alone. And he said, in short, you took the fall. He said, F it. And then this other guy said, funny thing is 15 minutes is rating all of this right now. Then he said, I told him that I took advantage of Johnny's mental health issues for my evil plans. This other guy said, that sounds like a stretch. And he said, not really. Then he said, you'll see the video tomorrow and understand everything. And then he said, free Johnny Somali. The other guy said, that means you open the door for more charges to come up. If that's the case, I'm surprised you didn't email Legal Mindset. And then he showed us screenshots and he said, real friends don't let him go down alone. And then someone said, how do you try to finesse but get finessed by a finesser but both feel like you won? Which is hilarious. Now, honestly, I don't know what was his intention at first, but one thing's for sure, he revealed a lot more than he probably wanted to. Now, that's it for the video. I just want you guys to keep in mind a lot of effort went into this. I was talking to this guy for like 35 minutes, gathering all the screenshots, so please subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 100,000 and get that extra silver play button. I would really appreciate that. Thank you in advance, and I'll see you guys on the next one.